Hello, and welcome to the Canadian Story, where we discuss what Canada is, what Canada could be, and what Canada should be.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Canadian Story. Today, we are joined by my good buddy, Danny Lopez. Danny, welcome to the show.
Danny in the house.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, we're great, man.
We're good.
Danny, why don't you give our listeners just a short little rundown of who you are and what you're all about?
Sweet. So yeah, my name is Danny Lopez. I was born in Colombia and I grew up in Miami. And then I lived a few years in Canada when I was 12 to 16. And then I moved to Argentina for like 7 years. And yeah, and all of this time I've always played music. I fell in love with music when I was like 10 years old. And yeah, I started playing in bands when I was about 10 years old. Started my main project, Harmonies, when I moved to Canada when I was like 12 years old. And yeah, so Harmonies became my main project. When I was 16, I ended up having to move to Argentina, right? So Rylan and I, the lead singer of the band, made a promise, and we said, like, it was just a duo at the time. We were like, we're gonna keep playing music together. We'll figure this out. So yeah, it took a while for us to get back together, a couple of years, and then he moved out to Argentina. And yeah, ever since the band got established in Argentina, I've been the producer, manager for a while of the band, and yeah, one of the main songwriters and founders of Harmonies. And yeah.
By the way, I love the double entendre there, the harmonies.
Yeah,
that is a well played. That is a good play
funny.
on words.
We were really young, like we had another band name first, and Ryan and I were like, we need to change this name. We were like 13 and we were looking through like dictionaries and just like swiping the page, trying to find cool words, and nothing. And then I'll never forget, it's like the next day, it was like a sunny day. I'm walking home and I get a text and it just says, it was like with old little brick phones, you know?
Yeah.
Harmonies with the question mark. And I like read it, and I read it again and again. And I was like, whoa, that's super clever. And I remember just texting him right back, like, dude, that's super clever. I really like this one. And then the next day we got together, like harmonies. And it's funny because from the beginning, it was a duo. So people would be like, who's Harm and who's Ease? And, it always be like, yo, we're all harmonies. Like, it's the balance, you know, it's the yin and yang, it's the duality of life. And you need a bit of both to be happy and to work and, you know, to.
Yeah, you need the even the chance of harm to have an element of risk and uncomfortability to push yourself forward, right?
100%. Sorry I dragged that on, but yeah.
That's exactly that's what this is all about.
Up, yeah.
Danny, why don't you tell us? So obviously you've experienced a lot of different countries and have lived in different countries. What is something that stands out about Canada?
All right, that's a great question. So when I moved to Canada, I was like 12 years old. I'm Colombian. My parents don't speak English, right? So it's like I was like it's a whole other thing coming into a country, and I felt really accepted right away, right? And I felt like right away people were just calling me Canadian. And like a couple months of being in school and stuff, people didn't, you know, and I thought that was super cool. Even though growing up in Miami, things were a little more separate, you know, it was kind of like the Latino kids and like the white kids or whatever. And here it was kind of like in my class, everyone was just like a big mix up of people. And I thought that was really amazing, right? And so, yeah, I just felt really accepted right away in Canada. And I felt like I only lived here from when I was 12 to 16, but I've always just called it my home, like where I really like fell in love with art and music and just felt safe and comfortable and where like I like to be. But yeah, there's so many things, man. I feel like the basic energy that happens around people here and like the connections you make and how like nice people are. It's shocking. Like when I was away for 7 years, coming back, my first day, just seeing the way people interact with people and stuff right away, it was opposite of the culture shock I had when I got there. It was like, holy shit, I forgot that people are so much happier and nice. Not everybody, obviously, but there's just a lot of like positive things happening here. And that's where I want to surround myself around. You know, there's so many places in the world, but I'd rather be somewhere where I can feel happy and positive. And there's constant like reassurance that things are going to be good here and stuff. So, yeah.
I think that's maybe one of my favorite answers yet.
Yeah, that's really good. That's
I like that.
I just it is interesting that it seems to be this innate natural place for Canadians to just kind of be like, you know what? We don't have to be kings of the world. We can just love one another.
That's the thing. It's not so competitive, It's more of like obviously Canada is a competitive country, but I feel like there's other places where it's like more about being like the number one, we're the best. But here I felt there's more teamwork happening. And honestly, since we've arrived, there's been so much connections happening with other bands. And even in Argentina, while we were there, we weren't from there, right? So we've always been kind of visitors, And when you're a visitor, it's either like people like you or they're like, what are you doing here? And even here, like as much as Rylan is our lead singer is Canadian and Alex is a Canadian, like John and I aren't. So we're not considered like a fully just 100% Canadian band, but people here have like accepted us that way. And people are helping us a lot more than I like would have thought so quickly. And it's insane. Yeah, I knew this would happen. This is why I wanted to bring the band here and projected these things that would happen. And I felt like once we get there, these things would happen. But it took, a lot of work to get here. And it's just cool how it's really flowing right now. And like every day, new artists, new people, new connections. And like, yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that, what you just said, projection. So you're like, I need to get us to Canada. You had this vision of the future.
Yeah, that whole story. I'd love for you guys to see that. Okay, so.
Yeah, can you back up? So you formed the band in Canada with Rylan, but then you had to take off to Argentina. Why was that? Like, start there.
So, walk us through this story. Yeah.
All right, it's a little deep story. I'll try to keep it short because it gets complicated and stuff. But my family, I don't know if you guys know what was happening in Colombia in the 90s or still to this day, but Colombia has been under like civil war for a very long time. And the guerrilla is like a mafia, organized crime over there. And so my brother got murdered in Colombia and my dad's ex-wife, and my family started getting like attacked by them because my dad worked for a big company, Caterpillar, the machinery.
Yeah.
So basically, they were looking to use his like machines and stuff. My dad did not want to be part of that. And these attacks started happening towards my family and stuff. So my family decided we needed to get out of there. We need to leave. I was only like 2 years old at the time. And so we moved to the States. And so in the States, same thing, things got hard for us. And there was an opportunity for my family to come to Canada and try to start things here. So I came here and I was in Canada under refugee status. So basically the Canadian government gave us like a place to stay and they were helping my family figure the things out. In those 4 years, while we were in the process of getting things done, Colombia ended up signing a peace treaty with the guerrilla, which is like the first time, and I don't know how, like it never happened, but it's all like not even true, It's all super organized, like corrupt madness to pretend like they signed a peace treaty or whatever. So to the Canadian government, it seemed like, oh, you guys are fine over there now. So our refugee status got like amended and they said, you guys are safe to go back to your home country. I had never even been there. I'd left when I was 2 years old. So that was just like,
wow. Yeah.
And I had grown up here, I felt like I was Canadian. I'd already been here for almost 5 years. I had my band, Harmonies was already playing shows. Things were already happening. I felt like part of this. I thought I was going to like graduate with all my friends here and go to prom, like that whole thing, I thought that would happen. And then, middle of grade 11, I'm like, you have to leave. And then, so when I had to leave, there's nothing I could do. So in my mind, my whole dream since I left when I was 16 was like, I need to move back to Canada one day. That's where I want to be. That's where I belong. But I couldn't just come back. And I left, went to Argentina. Me and Rai started Skyping every day like this and writing songs together. And like, he was in high school and stuff. We were both in high school and he was like skipping school some days to like hang out and write songs with me. And then his mom started like catching him on the computer being like,
right.
Yeah. And then after doing that a few times, like, and getting in trouble, she ended up just surprising him one day when he was like, it was after a year of me being here, and just gave him a ticket and was like, just go visit him. Like, this is craziness. You guys can't stop like making music. What are you going to do? And he came for about 2.5 weeks. Right. And this is when we are like 17, 18. And we got put on like a major radio station in Argentina to do like a live session. We played these shows all in like 2 weeks. And for like a kid from Burlington, it was probably overwhelming for him to come to a big city, Buenos Aires. It's a massive city. We started getting attention. People were like, what's this Canadian people doing here? it only lasted 2 weeks, and he had to go back home, finish. He had to go back to school and stuff. So that was like a little taste, and we were like, whoa, this is crazy. So he started realizing, okay, if Danny can't come back to Canada anytime sooner, like my only thing is I can keep visiting him and we can keep playing music. So for me, it was like, this is a really like touchy subject, but I don't know if you guys even understand how hard it is to come into Canada when you aren't from like a first world country, right? It's a very long process, and there's many people around the world trying to get into Canada.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not easy, you know? It's like, this is why this country is like one of the best places in the world. Like, it's not anyone can just come or whatever. It's a weird thing to talk about, but like, they denied my visas first. Like, I tried twice, and they're like, no, you need to have more, like, you need to be more legit, basically. You need to have more ties to your country to come here, and all these things that like weren't easy for me. And you need to have a lot of money to show all these things. So yeah, it basically we signed with Warner Publishing over there. We ended up signing with like a big manager and like a label from Buenos Aires, and toured all over. And by the time I was like 19, or it was after that, actually, like 20 is when I decided, like, okay, I think I'm ready to start getting my things ready to go to Canada, right? And so that's when we decided to do a video, like an Indiegogo video, which we ended up raising like a lot of money, and not even a lot, but it was like, I don't know, like $14,000, which was enough to cover the cost for 4 of our visas and like for rent for the first few months being here. And so we ended up getting like our tourist visas and getting things going to come visit and come. And so that was like craziness. It was actually, to be like fully honest, it was right. We worked with Joe Ciccarelli in Argentina. He's like a really big producer, worked with Elton John, Frank Zappa, The Killers, U2, and like the White Stripes. He's done some of my favorite records, The Strokes. And after working with him, I was so mind blown about his work ethic and how epic it was seeing this. And I was like, I need to get out of this country where I was at the time. It's nothing against it, but I was feeling like the workflow and things that the harmonies needed to move to North America. And so that was like, right after that session, I was like, that's when we started making the video. And it was like, we have to do this now. I have to get my visas. So that was a lot of work. It took like a year to plan all that out. And then we ended up coming here with nothing, not knowing anybody. So we were filling out venues there for like 800 people. We were going on TV shows. We did MTV. We'd do CMTV there. We'd done like Billboard magazine a few times there. We've done Billboard events. Like, we did a bunch of big things in Argentina, but we were always like still put in as like this weird band that
right, because you're from Canada or whatever, but not really.
Exactly. And we sang in English. People speak Spanish there, so that was always like, why? What are you doing? Everyone would tell us you have to sing in Spanish to make it here. That's 100% true. It took me forever to like accept that. But it wasn't also the fact that we were there to make it there. That was just like our training spot till we were able to come back. You know, that's how I always looked at it. It was like my main goal was like, back to the original question. I'm sorry, I'm rambling on.
No, this is great. This is perfect.
Is amazing.
Keep going.
It was about manifesting. And so in those 7 years, you have no idea how much I manifested being in Canada, being in Toronto, working here, meeting all you people, Walk Off the Earth is one of the bands actually that I used to think about a lot because they're from Burlington, right? So whenever I would tell people there anything about Canada and like they would know about Walk Off the Earth or something, I'd be like, they're from that city that I like lived in when I was a kid. And when I would explain that city to people there, it almost seemed like a fairy tale because how different your life is over there. You know, Buenos Aires is a jungle, like a concrete jungle. You know, there's like madness going on constantly. You have to have eyes behind your back. And when I would explain to someone what I grew up like here, just like in Burlington, I'd be like, what? That sounds like a little story from a book, you know?
Right.
But it was amazing though, just explaining to people that those places exist and there's nothing wrong with both sides of it, you know? But yeah, back to whatever, I would always be like, one day when I come back, when I figure my shit out, I'm going to meet Walk Off the Earth somehow and we're going to connect and they're going to be a band that might help us, mixed with a lot of things like meeting the people who are helping us right now. Our label totally would think like this is like moving to Canada is going to bring us this label. It's going to bring us a studio. It's going to bring us these people that are going to take us to the next level where we were kind of stuck over there. We weren't getting help from people because we were singing in English and like all these things. We hit a roof over there, you know? So we were like, we hit the ceiling or whatever. I don't know how to translate the saying, but coming here, I feel like we have so much more to give and it's like, we're ready to just expand our music. And we've grown so much as being here and learning from all these people. And yeah, so yeah, the whole time I was picturing this, picturing being here, picturing like having the band just play in Canada was just like such a dream of mine for so long. Coming back to Burlington was just also a dream. Like I didn't come back for 7 years. It was just like being in Canada was also just a goal. So now that I can mix it all together and like I have all the best of my life all here at once, it's like, it's epic, man. And I feel I'm so proud of our team and like of all of us that just, you know, we haven't given up. And a lot of people would have given up. There's just, you know, with all these kind of little things happening, you just gotta fucking push through.
What did it feel like the moment where it all kind of finally fell into place and you knew that you were going to be able to come back, and not only were you going to have a visa, you're going to be able to live here? What was that feeling like?
Well, to be like fully honest right now, we're still working on our work visa. We're on our last steps. So I haven't got the acceptance of like, you can stay for 3 years or you're now working, you're good. So I'm in the process of that. I'm doing everything by the book and I'm doing everything so I can stay here. So no, it's still a battle to this day. I'm still
right. I love that. You're never giving up on your dream. You're like, no, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. Like, but, just, I guess a similar feeling to what you just said was the day I got my visa accepted. Yeah. Like I had given up, you know, and like, this is a crazy story. I'm just going to tell it really quickly. We, when my second visa got denied at the Canadian embassy, I like came in losing my like shit. You know, I spent so much money on these applications and all this time. And I came in, I was like, why can't I go to Canada? Like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Like,
right.
This, you know, and I came into the embassy and they're like, whoa, relax, dude. Like, we can't do anything about it. You just have to apply again. I'm sorry. I'm like, let me talk to somebody. Like, let me talk to somebody. And they're like, let me talk to one person. She was like, I'm sorry. All I can tell you is to try to apply again. And I was close to giving up there. You know, that's like, I feel like a lot of times in life when you're close to giving up is when life just gives back.
Yeah.
To you. Like, no, it's okay. But yeah, I was about to give up and be like, fuck, like, I guess I can't ever come back. And then finally, whatever, I got my family and friends, people were like, dude, you can't give up. We got to keep doing this. We're going to try one more time. And I put together like the best application I could ever put together. And I applied. And then, yeah, the day I go back to the embassy, everyone knows me already. I'm like,
you're a regular.
You're not giving up. You want to be Canadian.
Exactly. And it was kind of funny because the second time they asked me about my music, so this third time I come in, they're all like, harmonies, dude. Like they all love my music by now. But they're like,
amazing.
Right.
They had the envelope and they're like, all the dudes, they're all these like, some Canadian people working there. There's also Argentine people, and they're all like gathered together. They're like, dude, we hope this is it, because they all wanted it to work, you know. And they're like, we don't want to see you here anymore, or whatever. And I like grabbed the envelope and went in, like, and I didn't want to open it there because I was like, I'm not even ready for this. And I went downstairs. The moment I opened it, I see like there's an extra piece of paper in there that I hadn't seen before. My heart just like stops. I'm like, what is going on? I open it and I just kind of like, I don't read anything. I skim and I just see the words like accepted and like positive words everywhere. I'm like, no, this can't be. I just like burst into tears, and like my mom's there too. She's like, just didn't even know if it's a good or bad thing. I'm like, I got it. And I can't even believe it. I'm so overwhelmed that I run upstairs. I like go back into the building.
To tell them.
I get in the elevator. I go up. I open the door and they see my face. I'm so happy, and they instantly stop me. They're like, get out of here, go to Canada, we don't want to see you here, get on the plane. And I was like, no way, dude, this is insane. So yeah, I got home and I freaked out. All my friends immediately like, you're coming. It's been 7 years, you know. I didn't even think, a lot of people didn't even think I'd come. And this is super epic. 15 of my friends visited me in Buenos Aires. And
wow. That's so okay. I want to just pause for that. What do you think it is about how you treat people that makes them love you so much that they would fly
Yeah, dude, that's a heavy question for me, because I ask myself this every day, and I don't know, you know. And like, I didn't even mention this. When I left, when I was 16, my high school, Burlington Central High School, did a festival called Danny Fest, and they got like 15 bands to play to raise money for me. And they projected me on like live on Skype. I was like backdrop, and then they put my webcam at the end of the theater, and I could watch all the bands, and like all these bands played, and Rylan played, like Harmonies played. And I couldn't believe it. And they raised like $4,000 for me, and it was to pay for lawyer fees and stuff for me to come back. And that was insane for me. That just knowing that this whole people were like rooting on me, and that was crazy. But then, like, you know, this kind of things kept happening, and I've always like attracted people. I don't know. I think the main thing is I've always been a visitor. I've always been like moving around. And when you're a visitor on someone else's like hometown, you can't be douchey. You can't be a mean person.
True.
You're not coming in to make enemies, right? You're coming in to make friends. So I feel like I've just adapted that from moving when I was a kid so much that like I'm an automatic like friendly, like, hey everybody. I'm never trying to make enemies because I'm never part of like I'm never fully from anywhere. Like I was born in Cali, Colombia, and I've never been there.
Right.
So I'm really confused about like where I'm even from or where like who I am. Sometimes it's like I don't know where I'm from, but I feel like that comes with the natural like positive energies, and then I don't know, that's just who I am. I like people have called me like a soul gatherer and stuff like that.
Oh, I love that. Well, because I've not a similar experience because I've always lived in Canada, but I did go through a time in my life where I'm like, why do people love me so much? Like people will do things like fly to Buenos Aires, right? And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And I've talked to a lot of people about it, and I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. But I think what it fundamentally comes down to is when you approach other people with a sense of just curiosity and interest in them, not looking to get anything from that other person, but so to give this sense of, this is a safe place because I'm a safe person, in the sense that I'm not here to compete with you. I'm not here to tell you how great I am. I'm here because you seem interesting and I enjoy interacting with you for the pure sake of interacting with you without any ulterior motive.
That's the best, man. That's 100% true. And you can really tell when it comes from that or when it comes from another intention, and that's when, like, I don't know, you make the real connections. It's when it's honest, like the way you said, and people can tell. As much as people feel like certain people can't tell, like everyone can tell, and you can pick up on it. And that's like, if you know that and you can be a good person, good things will happen to you, but you have to, it's
well, and I'm thinking about all these guys and girls, I assume, coming down to see you in Buenos Aires. That's going to be a life-changing experience for them.
Oh,
right! You're taking them around. You're showing them an entirely different culture, so they're going to remember that forever. You've built like a memory with them, a soul bond.
You know what's really epic? I made a lot of friends in Argentina, right? And a lot of them had never been on planes, didn't know any people who spoke English, didn't like never been to North America. Like I would tell them stories, and they'd be like, "Whoa!" Like the movies. And like I tell them stories about my high school and how things were, and they would freak out. I was like a real life little TV character for them.
Right.
If I can give you an image of this, I'd hang out at a skate park and there'd be like 12 kids sitting around me, and I'm like sitting in front of them, like telling them stories about Canada. It was really epic. And one of the things that I would realize is that a lot of these people have been told by lots of like generations that like North Americans are horrible people, right?
Right.
And so this is really interesting, bringing all these 15 friends of mine from Burlington and introducing these people who don't even speak Spanish, these people that to them look like movie characters or whatever, into their lives and hang out with them and see how real and good people are. Like people have looked at me and been like, Danny, thank you so much for showing me these people that like open my eyes. And I know there's good people there too, that it's not just like all North Americans are evil. They're all just like, they hate South Americans or stuff like that. People have those thoughts there, man. And it was really cool to break barriers with some of those people, especially like people who live in like very humble neighborhoods over there, and just like what they've been told, and that everyone from North America is like evil and they have money and they're not nice people. It was the complete opposite. And like there's evil people everywhere, and it was cool for my friends in Canada to experience seeing these humble people who you would never imagine how they live in like the most, you have nothing. I have friends there who had like lived with 6 people in one tiny room. And if I'm there, like they're having dinner, they'll be having this, whatever they have, he's still going to cut a piece for me, That's
Wow.
That's real shit. Like people here, I remember growing up and being like, tell your friend to go home because we're having dinner.
Right.
And that's a whole different like world of shit, but it's okay. Everyone has a different culture and stuff, but it was really epic seeing like and connecting those two worlds and seeing that it's okay to be on either side and like there's good people everywhere kind of thing.
So walk us through the process of at such a young age becoming this star in a foreign country, not even singing their language, getting to sing in front of 800 people. How did this happen?
It was weird, man. Like it came from so I was busking on the streets for like 2 years. I ended up making like I had like my whole thing, like I had everything scheduled out, like what train stations I would make most money at, what times, which wagons, like everything, like what subway stations, what train stations, what street corners, how much money I'd make. I had an Excel sheet and I'd make
wow.
and I would organize just so I could show my parents that I was taking this serious, because like I had fully just dedicated my life to music, because a lot of things happened once I got to Argentina with like my school, and they had to, all the transferring of stuff became extremely complicated, and they wanted me to like learn Latin and do a bunch of stuff for Argentina that like that's like you have to there. And I was like, I can't do this shit. So I like resorted to doing online classes and switched to like dedicating my full life to just playing music 24/7 and not wanting to get a job at a mall or anything. And I was like, I'll show you that I can make more money busking on the streets than like at any fucking mall or any like little stupid job that I don't want to do. And I'm going to be practicing what I want to do. So I started doing that. And then from there, like, think about this. It was street corners. I didn't know anyone in the country, nothing, to like, you know, random dudes are picking up on us and they're like, hey, you guys should play on my bar or whatever. And we're like, sure.
Right.
So like slowly you start playing at bars and whatever. And then, so I was doing this with different artists from Argentina because Rai was still in Canada. Right.
Yes.
So by the time we turned like 19, Rai finished high school and he's like, I'm moving to Buenos Aires. Like, I'm going to stay with Danny until he's able to come back. That was the biggest moment ever where like,
wow, that's brotherhood, eh?
For years, it was like, what's going to happen? I'd always be worried he's going to meet some dude and want to play music here. And he's like, why would I like, not in like a, honestly, like
dude
there's so many musicians, you know?
Bro jealousy.
No, but like there's so many musicians and people. It's like, why would you want to go to the other side of the world to a third world country to make music? But so, like, you can have a chat with him about that. But something about him was like, I want to make music with Danny. Like, I think that's what's going to be the right move for him. So he ended up moving out there. So then that's when, we started getting more attention right away, and they started going from bars to like, now we got a steady gig at a bar. We're getting paid to just play there all the time and bring people in and whatever. So then the band's growing a little bit. Everyone just gets the whole wow thing. Like, why does this singer not speak Spanish? What are you guys doing here? What's the story?
Right.
I'm confused. Why are you guys here? So that was always a big shock factor at first. And then people normally, like, you know, you'll go to maybe someone our age would be in Argentina if they're 20 years old. Like, we lived alone there. Like, my parents were living in Colombia, so we were kids living alone in a foreign country. So people thought that, like, we were older. And, like, normally if kids our age are there, they're just traveling for a week or two. So, like, people are like, what the fuck? They live here. Who are they? What's going on? Like, why doesn't the singer speak Spanish? This whole thing. So, yeah, I went from bars to slowly, just through connections and meeting people. Honestly, it's a crazy story. We moved into this apartment and we kept making music. And I was in the elevator one day and this girl goes like, hey, like, I love your guys' music. I live downstairs or whatever. It was kind of like, oh shit, is she about to be like, you guys are loud?
Yeah.
But she's like, it's just funny. I work at a club called the Roxy. It was like the main rock and roll club of Buenos Aires. And she's like, it's funny. I work with bands 24/7, then I come home and you guys are always here. But she wasn't being rude. She was being nice. She's like, I really want to introduce you guys to the owner. And I was like, no way. Next day, I get a text from her and she's like, hey, so this is the guy. And Buddy sends me a message and he's like, hey, I'm having a party at this bar with the Dandy Warhols. They're coming over. That was like my first introduction to him. And I was like, sure. So I show up. I'm with the Dandy Warhols, like sick band that I really like. So it was super cool meeting them. And then from there, we find out that he lives across the street from my house. And that's when he like comes over the next day and he's like, you guys should play at the Roxy. And that's like when the band started taking the next step, because the Roxy is like a big venue there. And like many bands will go years in Argentina, like never playing that venue. It's like a big thing. And it's like kind of like doing a Danforth or whatever, but like, or like those, you know, it's like a big venue for a band of the city. You know, a lot of people like, their career is just making it there, kind of.
Right.
So we just got there. We're playing street corners, bars. I don't know where we're getting invited to this club. And I told the guy, like, dude, we don't have a following yet. He's like, I don't care. I'm going to put you guys in my party and I'm going to get you guys people. And this is the first guy that like put us under his wing. And I ended up after that, fast forward, the band starts moving a lot. He starts introducing me to different clubs and people. Harmony starts getting a bigger pool. We get interest from a manager. And we get put on this like TV show, like this weird battle of the bands things, and we get kicked off because we sang in English. And that became a huge controversial thing.
Right.
People started following us. We got put on a news channel to talk about our experience and shit. And then from there, it just started like the ball started rolling, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck's this band, and why are they here?" And then we started getting invited to like TV shows, more clubs. And then, okay, I ended up like working at the Roxy. I ended up having my own party Friday nights, and we had the house band. Harmonies would play at like 2 or 3 in the morning when the club is like fully packed. And then from there, it was just like the ball started rolling. We had our own event parties and all these things started happening, but we weren't making money because you're in Argentina and you're in a third world country.
Right.
So you're bringing in like 800 people and you're going home with no money and you're just like constantly sacrificing. Like it's dude, I feel for my all my bros out there right now. And it's hard, man. It's hard work out there and there's not much money in it. So it's like, I just knew that the next step was for us to leave there. Even though we were getting success, I had friends there like who would tell me some dark stories, like big bands. My friend who was like in a huge band, like, you know, like Queens of Stone Age level in North America kind of thing. And over there, and he would be like, dude, my son's birthday is coming up. I have no money for him. He's like taking the bus and shit. And I was just, it was just always weird.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And you just always hear these stories of people there. Like they look like they're famous, but they're not. And they have no money and stuff. And I was like, bro, that's not what I want for myself. So yeah, I started seeing all these people and meeting all these guys who were like in the scene high up. And I was looking at them and I was like, I don't want to be like you, man. This isn't what I want to be. And yeah, so that was one of the main reasons I was like, I need to get out of here. I love Argentina, by the way, like keeping that in mind. Like I have so much love for that country. I grew so much there, but I knew that like for our music and our project, we need to get out. And yeah, so that was an extremely weird time for us. We were pretty young, getting lots of attention and stuff, but for me, it was always just like a practice. It was always like, I always felt like I was like training to get into the big leagues, you know? That's how we would always say, we always joke about it. It would be like, one day we're gonna make it in the big leagues, boys. And it was always like getting out of Argentina was step one, you know? And yeah, so yeah, I'm super happy that like we're here and we got out of that and like we're pushing to the next level right now, you know?
So you get, oh, go ahead, Zach.
So you come back across to Canada then, and it's funny because you were manifesting meeting Walk Off the Earth. How did that happen? Yeah, because that happened.
Yeah.
It happened. No, it happened. For a while, me and Ry would always tell each other like, man, we have to meet them somehow. Because like I remember there's always random stories of somebody who knew someone in the band or like someone did yoga with Sarah or something. And I'd be like,
right.
Somehow we'll run into them. I don't know how. And then, yeah, dude, we came for 6 months, like 2 years ago. And it was my first time coming back to Canada for 2 months, for like a trip, right? So we did a 6-month little tour, and it was like on the 5th month, 2nd week of the tour, we played all over Ontario. We played these tiny shows, like nobody, you know, it was like a rough tour, playing to ourselves and like the bartenders and like whoever the locals of some like tiny towns all over Canada, all over Ontario, sorry. And yeah, so it was kind of like, it was ending and I was like, hey, we're going back to Argentina soon. And it was our last show at the Absinthe in Hamilton. And we ran into Ben Rispin, which is
I know Ben. Yeah.
And Ben like saw us playing. He's like, dude, you have to meet G like from Walk Off. And that was I remember like a few times during that tour, people mentioned like, you guys have to meet Walk Off. And I'd be like, I know.
You're like, I am aware. I want that.
And it's funny, there was this, like the first month here, there's this one dude who was like, I know G, I'm going to send him your music. And like months would pass and like nothing would happen. And he'd be like, I sent him your music. And I'd be like, I guess they don't really care. So whatever. He ends up like introducing us to G, Ben, and G comes out to a show, which is actually a funny story too. He came to a show and like it was crazy because I was like, the show already started and then they finally came in and all of Walk Off come in. I was like, holy shit, Walk Off's here to see us play. This is crazy. And I was like, they actually showed up and then we finished playing and like I was rocking out, like my eyes were closed. So I opened my eyes, they're gone. And I was like, fuck, they hated it. And because they didn't say anything, but it was actually like they had to go for some whatever reason. And they just like left like they told Ben to tell us like, dude, I really like their show. And then he ended up G messaged us and it was just shocking because I remember being like, this is such a full circle of the whole thing that I pictured. And then I'd always imagined, and then we did the collaboration and I was just in a video with them and I was in their music video and all these things. It was just like, wow, like life is insane and it's life is really long is. And like the world is small.
The world is very small. So for listeners who, have dreams, let's say, something that they want to try to achieve in life, whether it be musical or anything else, because not all of our listeners are into music. Well, they're all into music, but they're not necessarily.
I hope they're all into music.
They're not necessarily playing or producing or in that space. How did you do you think it's just a thing that happened to you, or how do you get through those moments of constant disappointment when you're like you're applying for your visas, you're not getting it? It's like you have this dream and you just kept going.
That's such a great question. Honestly, I feel like you need to have the drive in you. I feel like being an immigrant in North America and stuff is something that's like, I have like the weight on my shoulders of like my family bringing me here to like thrive and be the best I can. So I think that's a little bit of maybe the drive I have, but I think for anybody, you need to love and want what you're like aiming for, right? Because if you're in it for another reason, it's not going to work. And that's like the main thing. Like if you're looking, and I see it all the time in music too, right? People are in it for other reasons, not because they're truly, and I can't be the one to say this sometimes, but whatever, you can kind of tell when someone's in it for another reason, right? And like, I think when you're in it for like the real reasons and you're honest about it and you love it and you put in time, putting in effort, like you can achieve anything. As like, that's the most cliche thing I remember hearing that all the time and being like, but if you hear anybody say that, it's fucking true. Like anyone who's ever been successful will tell you, like, you can do it. You need to put in the work and the time and you have to love it. And like, that's the thing. You need to find what you love and then own it and live with it. You can't just like decide you want to do something. You can, but like, whatever. I think like if you have that drive in you, that's like, you're going to achieve whatever you want. You can. And like, yeah, those moments when you feel down, like I've had so many moments where I'm like, what am I doing? And I've dedicated my whole life to this now. Like, it's almost like hard to take a step back because it's like, what am I going to do? But I think all those times, like when the good things start happening, it outweighs all those bad times. And in those bad times, all I do is tell myself, like, when you're doubting yourself or when you're telling, like, you're thinking like, this is way too hard. Like, what am I doing? Or am I good enough or whatever? You just like, I just start thinking about the things I've done because it's easy to forget that,
True.
It's really easy to forget like the things you've already done and where you're at and just embrace those things and then realize like push past those thoughts. Like I always think when you have those negative thoughts, I just like, I try really hard to like outweigh them with the good thoughts, and then from there, when the good things start happening, like those negative thoughts, I just use them as like fuel. I'm like, yeah,
right. You're like, I thought all those things and I was full of shit.
Exactly. And they help me push more because I always feel like if someone tells me I can't do something, it's like, fucking tell me I can't do it. I will do it, And that's another thing, like my whole life, it's like music's such a hard thing to do. And there's so many people and it's like, it's a hard industry. Like you guys both know it. So it's it's just not giving up, I think that's the biggest message to people. It's like feeling down and like doubting yourself is totally natural and okay. And you have to experience that. You need that, like, it's the harmony stuff. You need to feel that to like, and then embrace those happy moments of like, when someone sends you a message being like, yo, this song did this to me or whatever. And you go like, wow, like that means so much to me. And then it outweighs like whatever you were doubting. And you're going to keep doubting forever. Like I've had conversations with like massive musicians. Everybody's doubting forever. But I think like, you just have to have that drive and love and push forward and want to keep making it. And you have to love it. That's the main thing too. Like the first thing I said, if you aren't in it for the right reason, it's not going to be easy and you're going to get hurt and it's going to be
So
hard.
What would you use as some examples of the right reason and the wrong reason?
See, like that's obviously like my opinion. I don't want to get
but your opinion matters, right? It's your story.
Yeah, I guess so. I think so like in my experiences, I've just seen people who have got into music to like impress people or to just like, I don't know. It's more, I feel like I've seen people get into this and realize that it's not an easy place. Like that's something a lot of people like, they think it's all about this like party world and like this and that. And when you're in that, you're lost and you're not going to make it in the music industry. Right. So I feel like a lot of people will enter it and then start realizing like, oh shit, there's so many hard times and then you give up. Right. And people let go or whatever. So I feel like when people ask us to like, oh, you guys are in a rock band and you party all the time. It's like, you have no idea. Like,
yeah.
And that whole thing has died. I don't even think like that old 70s, like you're a rock band, you party 24/7. Like I work 24/7. Like I'm addicted to working.
Right.
And so like, Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think if you're in it because you love what you're doing, like, again, like, it's hard for me to say who loves or who doesn't, but um if you're in it to like be a star and like whatever, and to like party and to get all the things that come with being in the music industry, then you're not gonna make it. You're gonna get lost. It's a dirty world, and it's like, it's not cool, you know. It's not cool at all. Like, I don't think when I see people like that, they're like the little stars of this shit. It's like, that's not what I'm looking up to. I'm looking up to people who are like making shit happen and who are actually like working, you know, and like that to me is like the coolest thing ever. So yeah, I don't know, if I see people who are dedicating their full life to it and like putting in the hours, you can tell. Or you can tell when someone's posting Instagram pictures of themselves and like doing it for another reason. I don't, it's a weird thing to talk about. I feel it's a touchy subject, but
well, no, it's very interesting that you're touching on that particular subject, because I kind of, in my life, so I'm not a musician or anything like that, but politics has a similar vibe. Like, there's a certain vibe in politics where it's like, you party, right?
There's so much politics in music.
Oh, of course, right? And so one of the things that I've found is that, like, as much as partying is the culture, and it is the culture of politics, and to a degree music, the people who succeed aren't partying all the time.
That's the thing. You have to
Right?
you have to know that.
Dude, I think about Johnny from Walk Off. Man, that dude works harder than anyone else I've met.
That's what I mean. You know, that's who I'm looking up to, and that's who I'm learning from. And that's the kind of examples I want in my life. Like, that's the kind of people I want to surround myself with. Someone who fucking works, man. And you can tell, man. You can tell. And that's what I mean. I can tell when someone's in it for like putting in their life and their work. Or if someone just wants to like have clout or whatever that means, or just be like, I'm a musician too. Cause you know, nowadays anyone can do anything or whatever. But like, can you back it up, and can you sustain it, and can you keep doing it every day the way like these people do? So yeah.
Well, that's literally what separates the winners from the losers, right? Is are you going to put in the work, right? And I mean, Zach and I talk about this a lot. Zach's one of the hardest working guys I know, and we were raised.
I love Zach. I love how Zach thinks. I love his
he is just a ruthless motherfucker. He just works, right?
I've only said good things about you, and like that's one of the things. That's another person. I mean, like when I met Walk Off, that we got to work with you, it was like that kind of. I can see that there's people who have this work ethic, and that's the kind of people I want to surround myself with, and people who care about what they're doing. Like, and that's so important, you know, caring about what you're doing. I feel like a lot of people are so like, it's easy to just be like, yeah, it's okay or whatever, it's all right. But when you just sit down and give that extra listen or that whatever intention to what you're doing, that's what separates the winners from the losers. The guys who are fucking really working at it, you know, and in whatever you do.
What I like to say, like at least in the context of my own work, and this, I think this applies to anything. What I say to myself all the time is that good productions don't happen on accidents. So you mentioned the extra listen. It's like getting things into a place where you're like, okay, this is cool, and then going back in and be like, okay, where's that last 5%? How do I pull out that last 5%? And you see guys like Johnny do that. I see guys like you do that. It's the way that I try to live my life. And you're right. And I think that's why you have to love what you do, because if you're actually going to make something out of what you do, it will demand pretty much everything that you can give to it. And so if you don't love it, it's going to crush you.
It's going to hurt. It's not going to be easy.
Well, yeah, like I like what you were saying, and I want to go back to it about like loving a thing, and then there's the people who get into it because they want something from it. And isn't that going back to what we're saying about relationships? You had 16 people fly halfway around the world, literally, to come see you because of how you made them feel, right? And that is a testament to who you are. It isn't just because you're a visitor. It's because you love people. It's because you give them that. And that, look at what that love has borne into your life. A lot of people could have felt like a victim in your position, right? Why am I being treated this way?
Dude, okay. I always stand with saying this. Like, I don't want to be I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be victimized. I don't want to be treated like that. I want to be treated as someone overcomes shit, you know.
Yes, a warrior. Yes.
For me, it's like I would hate to put out the victim card, because it's like, but you know what's very interesting about this whole subject, which is really weird, and I guess we're getting deep right now, but like I feel like growing up, Also something that would happen to me, and this is the first time I started understanding like this weird thing with people like getting attracted and stuff, was a lot of people would tell me like, dude, you're my best friend.
Yes.
You're like early on, I remember, and it was weird because I didn't always feel the same about everybody, and it was really, I would be like, I wonder why people feel this way about me, and then I feel like I realized that people just feel comfortable around me, and like, yeah, those kind of things. When you're young, you're probably just like, "Whoa, this guy's my best friend" or something. But it's just the first time, like, I don't know.
Feeling that level of closeness. I feel such a bond with you right now because I've been a best man seven times, right?
7 times?
I've been a best man 7 times, right? And I'm not going to be able to have all of them even in my wedding party, right?
I feel like you need
if I
a
get
trophy
married.
for
I mean,
that.
I may never get married, but like the point is, like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And at first, you're like, "Oh, am I like lying to them? Am I causing a false feeling in them of like?" And then I'm like, "No, I'm creating a bond that I'm cherishing and enjoying, and giving them all of that love energy that I can in that moment of friendship, and that's why they feel, because they haven't experienced that."
Exactly, and that's so true. And it's not that like, I never thought that it was like maybe I was lying. I just thought like I was confused. I was like, why? Because I was just being myself, you know. I was never giving anyone extra attention or less, but people just felt really comfortable. And I thought like, all right, it's just like, and I also think it has to do with me having to be like, I had to grow up when I was very young because my parents don't speak English, and my brother and sister were working when we lived in Miami. Like they're both 12 and like 13 years older than me. So they were already like in like high school and working. My parents would have to like use me as a translator sometimes for a lot of stuff, and it'd be like heavy subjects and stuff that I'd have to be in a room like a little kid being like, "Mom, this is what they're saying."
Right.
And that like, I feel like maybe that kind of thing made people feel comfortable when I was with them, because I already felt like I was older than people when I was with kids and stuff. Like in school, I was like, I'm already dealing with like adult shit at home.
Yeah.
Dude, I got the same feeling for being homeschooled, because when I
Yeah.
was growing up, so I was homeschooled all the way until high school. So when I was growing up, I spent the majority of my time around people in their like 30s and 40s, because I was my parents' age. And so like I didn't really identify with kids my age. I was like, you guys are weird.
Yeah.
I feel that too. Like my brother and sister are both 12 and 13 years older. So like they had all their friends over, and then like I would just kind of like sit around in the circle and be like, feel like I was older all the time and stuff. So maybe that comes with like maybe a reason why at that time people felt comfortable, because like they felt like I knew more, even though I was just a little kid who was like, yeah, I don't know.
Do you think, okay, so here's a question, because you strike me as someone who is at peace with themselves to a large degree. Like you don't have a lot of self-hate. Would you agree?
I agree. Yeah, no.
So were you always this way, or did you learn something that snapped you out of it?
That's a good question. I feel like when I was a kid and experiencing all these like really hard times as a young kid, having to move country to country, I would like question myself a bit and be like, why is this happening to me? Like, yeah, my family, I didn't grow up having a lot of money or anything. So it was really interesting. Like I lived in Miami, and I went to a really good school in Miami, got accepted in this school called George Washington Carver. And a lot of these kids had like a lot of money in the school, but it was like the best public school. So like it was mixed up with kids who were like, who got in the school, and then like really rich kids. And all these like rich kids became my friends and stuff. And they would like, you know, all these school trips be like, we're going to Disney World or whatever. Like I couldn't pay for the trip, but like somehow someone's parent would always pay for my
Wow.
stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, it was always that. Like they would always get together and be like, Danny's coming, like we'll figure it out. Or like even when I got older in Canada here, and I started skateboarding, like I'd break a board all the time, like need new shoes, and like it was always like someone would be like, yo, here, boom, I got you and stuff. And I've always been like, I can say that I've never missed anything. I've never like needed anything, you know? And like I've never had much either, but like I've always had what I needed, and people have always given the things that I needed to have. But wait, I kind of lost track of the first question.
No, that's exactly it. It's like, but it was like, so I don't think in a sense you did ever, it seems like you skipped that stage, or no?
So yeah, no, at that time I would go a little, I'd ask myself all the time, like, what's going on? And I remember thinking like, I still to this day, I'm still like, I still don't understand why like things have been so complicated for me, but I still think it has to do with like, what's gonna come, you know?
Yeah, well, of course, because and the reason that that's true is because you are the kind of person who manifests. So what are you going to use to manifest? You're going to use your experiences, right?
Exactly. That's so true, man. But so yeah, I don't know. I think I've used all those things, like you said, to manifest and to like be a stronger person, you know, and like that I feel like that makes you like the strongest person you can be is when you use these hard times and make them into like make yourself grow, you know, because you can sit around and complain, like you said in the beginning. I could just literally be around like, dude, my life sucks. I've been moved around everywhere. My family has been attacked and like everything sucks and I'm a depressed person. Or I can be like, yo, all this shit happened to me and look where
look at where I am. Exactly. Look at what I overcame.
That's what I want to be. I want to show an example of someone who can overcome this shit. And like, you know, that's in my blood. I feel like I'm just here to like, nothing's going to stop me, basically. You know?
Who gonna stop me? Dude.
Yeah, I think if you use that stuff for a drive and you can take over, man. If you're smart about it, you have to have a strong mind. You can't be weak because like the moment you break down and those things get to you, you're not going to get anywhere, you know?
Yeah, well, as soon as because that's the thing about belief and that's the thing about not giving up is that it takes a lot of work to get to the objective. And there's going to be all along the way, time after time, failure, roadblock, obstacle. And
so many. We could go on for days talking about the things that happened to us. Like our studio burnt down. And when Ry first moved to Argentina, like when Ry came for 2 months before he moved to Argentina, our lead singer, he got a 2.5 month like ticket to come first. And 2.5 months, like 2 months in, he had 2 weeks left. We had finished our record. The studio we were recording at burnt down. And that was the first time, like everything burnt down. It was gone. The computer was burning. And
all the music, everything.
Story on its own. It's insane. But that was the first time we were downstairs from the studio. We had to run out of the studio because it was burning. It was like, I still have dreams about fires and shit. We got out of there. Everything's burning. It's raining outside. So imagine this scene. You can just see smoke coming up on the top of a building. It's cold, raining. We have like no shoes on. Ry has like no shirt on because it was like a sweaty, hot day at first. It's raining. All these people are coming out from the streets to help us and stuff. And we're just looking up at our like work, our life. And that's the first time Ry looked over at me and he said, like, I guess that's the end of Harmonies, right? And it was like, we're doing everything. He's in Argentina. He did everything for us to make this music, make this band. And I remember like looking at him and being like, no, that's not the end of Harmonies, dude. This is just another.
This is a good story for Harmonies. This is the kind of story we fucking tell.
Bump in the fucking road. That's just like, it's for some reason it's happening to us right now. I don't know why, but let's not just give up. And then I remember the producer, like it was his fault that the studio burned down. So he was like having a mental breakdown and going crazy. The ambulance are there. Everyone's helping him. He's crying. He's all like, he was like, you know, like the captain of a ship. Like,
right. Yeah. Oh,
he didn't want to leave the studio. It was too, like the fire kept growing and everyone was like, get the fuck out. And he didn't want to get out. And like, he came out, he was like black of like the smoke. And he looked like he was going to die in there, right? And imagine this scene of this madman, it's raining, going up to us being like, we're going to figure out this record, I promise, I promise. And I was just like, dude, who cares? You're alive right now.
Yeah,
He did what he said, and he booked the next 2 weeks we had left to just record Rylan's vocals at some other studio. And then we did all of Ry's vocals with a ghost guitar track that I played. Ry went back to Canada, and I finished the whole record on my own with the dude, and like we did it in another studio.
Wow.
That was our first record ever called Miles Away. And it's got like, 10, 11 songs, and it's all about this whole, like, it was when we were really young, like, you know, 18 or whatever. It's not even on the internet anymore, but those songs are all about that first time. You know, there's a song on the record we wrote the day after the fire, so it made it on the record.
Wow.
The whole chorus is like, fire can't kill us and stuff. And it was just an epic time, you know, like it was craziness, you know, you're young and all these things were happening. But yeah, a lot of people would have given up there, man. A lot of people would have been like,
tons of people.
Like, it's over now. Like, what are we doing? And we said, no, let's keep doing this, you know, like we've had like Ry and I, when we were kids in school, we were like, imagine one day we live together and we have a full band.
And then you manifested it.
Yeah, dude. And then we had the full, we'd always be like, imagine we played a big club. Boom, we played a big club. Imagine you do this. Imagine you did that. Imagine we all live together. Dude, we're living in a crazy house. We built a studio in this house downstairs. We just bought all this new equipment. got an Apollo Twin. We got Yamaha
Sick.
HS8s.
Yeah, that's all the stuff I have.
We got a new fucking Mac Mini M1 processor, the 2021, brand new computer.
Oh, sick.
We got just everything set up downstairs. I have my studio here now, and just the workflow is insane. So like, dude, I'm like, I just feel so great right now. You know, things are like finally turning up the way like I've been hoping.
Dude, I love your gratitude, but we have to we try to keep it under an hour for our listeners. Just that's our rule. But we could talk for 3 or 4 more hours, I'm sure. But I wanted to say something at the end here. I just wanted to thank you for loving our country so much. Like, it's people like you who make this country great, because it's people who appreciate it and have the gratitude for it to keep trying. Like, and for all the listeners, listen to this story. Danny loved this country so much that he never gave up his dream of coming and living here again. And people need to remember that there's a whole world of people who would die for their lives. And maybe it's time we stopped acting like victims and started acting like warriors.
Oh, I love that. And I just want to interject something small here too. If anyone from Immigrations Canada is listening to this, would you cut this damn dude a certificate of citizenship? Because like he belongs in this country.
He belongs here.
You know what's? Oh, there's so much I missed, but whatever. We'll talk about this another time.
Oh, for sure.
We'll have to have you back on. We'll have to have you back on.
Thank you guys.
Oh, it's
our pleasure, man. Like you are literally the embodiment of what we're trying to do with this podcast.
You're it.
So
You're
I love that. No, honestly, like you said, people like you guys as well are what make me feel so like happy and like proud to like want to be Canadian, you know, and like I know one day I'm gonna be able to say like I'm Canadian. I'm gonna celebrate that day a lot.
Oh, I want to be at that party. That's gonna be a rager. That's gonna be like the roof is coming off the building. Manifest.
And then it's back to work the next day.
Yes, the next day.
Oh, yeah, and then that's the thing, man. That's what I want to do. That's it.
Well, Danny, dude, I got chills like 3 or 4 times this conversation.
Many times, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Really quickly before we let you go, plug your band, plug your shit. Where do people find you?
All right, so my band's called Harm and Ease. We're doing a lot of TikTok growth right now. So you guys, if you get on that TikTok, we're posting a lot. Instagram, YouTube, we post new videos, covers all the time. And Spotify, Apple Music. We are releasing new singles soon. We're doing a lot of collaborations with artists all around the world that are coming up really soon. So yeah, we're figuring all that out. We're doing music videos right now. So yeah, stay tuned. There's a fucking new band in Toronto, Harmonies.
And it's going to take the 6 by storm.
We're here to stay and we're here to work, man. We're here to work.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to meet more bands here and like just meet new fans and make music, man. So yeah, thanks for having me on your guys' show. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for listening to The Canadian Story. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The CAD Story. That's the CAD Story. If you enjoy this podcast, please share it with your friends and family. Let's work together to remind Canadians how great their country is.